Okay. I'd like to call to order the Fishers Advisory Committee on Disability Tuesday, September 6, 2022 meeting. We appreciate your patience, those of you that are watching live stream. We're at Launch Fishers, where our city hall is being demolished and reconstructed. So this is our temporary meeting place right now. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and ask that we do a roll call. Here.
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 Great. So we're all here. Okay. Next, we need a motion to approve the previous minutes, April 12th, 2022 meeting and June 28th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion? Motion by Stacy, and is there a second? Second by Chrissy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes. Okay. Next, we have two speakers tonight. I'm really interested to hear about this topic because we've never had anyone come and present about fetal alcohol syndrome. And tonight we have Heather and Brenna French, who are going to come up and talk about fetal alcohol syndrome. And we also have in the audience, and if anyone has more questions, we have Susan Ellsworth. She's the Executive Director of the Indiana Alliance on Prenatal Substance Exposure. So, Brenna, if you'd like to come up to the podium there, we have your slide presentation, and come up to the podium there and share some information.
While they're getting that ready, if I could just tell you that Brenna is student at Hamilton Southeastern. I think I've got her. Student at Hamilton Southeastern Schools. I believe she's a junior, so I'll just give a little bit of background about who she is. But she's been invited here to speak tonight. Thanks, Brenna.
Hello, my name is Brenna. I am 16 years old and a junior at Hamilton Southeastern High School. To you and the rest of the world, I look normal, but to what most people don't know is that I have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, otherwise known as FASD. FASD is a disorder due to a mother drinking during their pregnancy. Some effects of drinking during pregnancy can lead to physical problems, problems with behavior, and problems learning. Personally, I have experienced these problems in multiple areas of my life. I have a difficult time remembering things such as what I ate for lunch, memorizing things, time and money management, and a really hard time in math classes. I also find that I struggle during testing and become easily overwhelmed if given directions and multiple steps versus one at a time. Behaviorally, I find that I'm quick to be overwhelmed and social cues can be tricky to comprehend. While I struggle with all of this, I am still a teenager. Some things I really enjoy are music, riding my bike, singing, swimming, and crafts, which is why I'm so thankful to have access to such amazing services such as music therapy, behavioral consultants, and recreational therapy. They help me navigate this tricky thing called life. One thing I wish I could change would be people understanding me better by learning more about FASD. Hopefully this would also lead to less misdiagnoses such as ADHD, Noonan syndrome, and autism by being more aware that they would know that I'm doing my best. I'm not a bad kid. I am just struggling and need a little extra help and patience. Thank you for your time and understanding. Don't forget the FASD Awareness Day is on September 9th, this Friday.
Does anybody
Wonderful.
have any questions?
Thank you, Brenna, for sharing your story and letting us know a little bit more about you and what you go through every day. I'm sure that there's a lot of people in Indiana that are faced with similar situations, and so bringing that awareness and everything, we love that you're here and you reached out to us for that. Is there any statistics or things that you could let us know a little bit more about fetal alcohol syndrome? Any statistics or more information that about how to?
Oh, I don't know if Susan can help.
Okay, we'll have Susan come up and talk a
Sorry,
little
I
bit
just
about
don't-
that.
I do have a question for you personally. My name's Kelly, and I thought you did an amazing job, so thank you for coming. Have you ever had the opportunity to work with other peers who have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder? And if not, do you
sorry.
think that'd be a great idea?
I think that it would be a really great idea, but I don't think I've been with any classes or anything with anyone, but I do know a couple people who have FASD.
Because I know quite a few people that I work with, and I'm sure Michelle also works with folks who have FASD. So I'm fairly familiar, but you're right, a lot of people don't understand it very well. But what I really wish I had was somebody like you that could talk to other people who feel kind of alone because other people don't understand. And so I would love to talk to you more about that.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry, is there any other questions?
Anybody have
Wait,
some
your
other
turn.
questions?
My turn.
Okay, Susan, you're up.
I
Yeah.
am up, and my slides are not showing for you to be able to see. Did you want to see the statistics that you asked for? Would you
Yes,
like to
they'll,
see-
they'll put it up here in just a minute here. I
Okay.
think we should.
Stand up here too.
Works for me. As soon as we see our slides.
Pardon me a second. I'll see if I'm used to PowerPoints, not PDFs. Let me see if we can make this. Is there? Do you know? I'll let the smart one tell me which one we're after. There you go. Yep. Theoretically, this will be better.
Brianna could probably fix it. It seems like kids are better than adults.
It's quite possible.
Absolutely, it is.
I mean, I'm like good at Apple mostly. Dad could help. He's an
Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Alrighty. Thanks for allowing me to come tonight and talk to you about FASD. I am Susan Ellsworth. I am the founder and executive director of Indiana Alliance. I was a foster parent for the state of Indiana for 12 years, and during those 12 years, we adopted 9 children from the system, and 5 have been diagnosed with prenatal alcohol exposure. So that's how I became a topic expert and a person with lived experience all at the same time. And this is who we are. We are an affiliate of FASD United, which has headquarters in Washington, D.C. We're also a subsidiary of Mental Health America of Indiana, here down in Indianapolis. So FASD is an umbrella term, and it describes a wide range of effects that can occur in people that are prenatally exposed to alcohol. Mainly includes our physical, our mental, behavioral, and usually always learning disabilities with lifelong effects. So Dr. Phil May did a study in 2018 where he went to 4 Midwest cities, looked at every single first grader, did physical exams, did cognitive testing, got family history, and found that 1 in 20 school-age children may have prenatal alcohol exposure. Prior to 2018, the CDC told us that 1 in 9 pregnant people reported alcohol use during pregnancy. For the years of 2018 through 2020, this number has gone to 1 in 7. This is going in the wrong direction, with 1 in 20 pregnant people reporting binge drinking within the last 30 days. And why this prior slide might have been slightly concerning, this is even more so. NIAAA was involved in a study where they selected a cohort of people. They surveyed the people at the beginning of February 2020 and the same group at the end of November 2020, and found that drinking exceeded the guidelines for women by 54%, binge drinking went up 42%, And women with children under the age of 5 drinking increased 323%. So that 1 in 7 number that you saw is going to be changing even more so. They're going to be more in your school systems, more in your neighborhood, and more with the people that you know. Some of our barriers to addressing FASD is stigma. While we've done a pretty good job with the opioid community trying to create an environment for women to get help and get treatment along the way, not so much with alcohol use. And as you know, alcohol use is just, we're a culture of drinkers in the United States. My message here is not drinking is bad. My message here is there's no safe amount of alcohol consumption during pregnancy. But trying to have a conversation with people about that proves problematic. It also is hard for families to be able to get a diagnosis, because if we're going into a physician's office and we're describing behaviors that we're seeing and we don't know the root cause, we may walk out with one diagnosis that is similar with neurobehaviors. But if we go in and we say, oh, I did drink until I found I was pregnant and then I stopped, then immediately we get the turn and the flip. And now it's your fault that this individual is experiencing these problems. Another problem that we have in the barriers is connecting the dots. So if a child is born at the hospital and does not have those facial features that we look for in FAS, and everybody leaves the hospital embarking on life, and we begin to see some pulling away from their neurotypical peers, things that just don't add up, things that just don't quite fit, and so forth, then we start chasing the diagnosis for what we're seeing. The first diagnosis is usually always ADHD. They're everywhere, they can't concentrate, they're losing their papers, they can't stay focused. And so they get this first diagnosis, and then they get the next and the next. And we never tie back to that everything that you're seeing is a symptom of prenatal alcohol exposure. Old messaging is also a problem. We have our Surgeon General, we have ACOG and the AAP, CDC, everyone agrees that no amount of alcohol is safe during pregnancy, but we still have ladies coming to us and said, my OB told me it was okay to have a glass of wine when I was pregnant every now and then, or light drinking is okay. So it's taking a while for this messaging to be replaced, even though all of our key players are saying the same thing. Also in Indiana, we have a lack of infrastructure. Meaning you mentioned earlier that you have people that you know that have FASD, people in our school system that know that they have FASD. We have people in our juvenile justice system, people that are providing services, but no one person or no one agency knows all the individuals through all those silos that have an FASD. And funding. We spend a whole lot of money in prevention efforts toward our illegal substances, but not so much on our legal substances of nicotine and alcohol. So what does Indiana Alliance do? We provide education on what FASD is. We provide training to anyone. People ask me, who's your target audience? And I say, if you have breath in your body, you are my target. Because all the providers, anybody needs to know, neighbors need to know, relatives need to know, friends need to know, parents of friends need to know what it is that they're looking at. And we advocate for systems change to make sure that these people who have experienced prenatal alcohol have an opportunity to have the same outcomes that their other peers have and other disabilities have. We offer support across the lifespan. Here are just a few resources. This, of course, is our website. We have lots of information on our website for you. FASD United has a website that is pretty thorough, and Heather French serves as our family navigator for FASD United for across the country. So as people are reaching out for, I need a diagnosis, I need a support, I need a therapist, Heather is the one who connects them to services when she can. Here in Indiana, we have an agency called Family to Family, and this is an organization that once a family gets the diagnosis, they come alongside them as family members with lived experience and help connect them to services. Here is my email, and how you can get in touch with me at any point. Our website, how you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. I draw the line at TikTok because I think that my tick has already talked, and I don't think I can get groovy enough to be part of that scene. And this is our telephone number. And I think this is it for me, and the next, I won't change the slide for the next person to be able to come up and do their own slides. Does anybody have any questions for me, anything you'd like more information on, or anything I can help you with?
I do have a question, and I know Heather personally, so I know what you've talked to me about is, because Brenna is not your only child with FASD, you have 4 others, how difficult it was to achieve the diagnosis, and the fact that all 4 of your children didn't present in the same way. So can I get a couple words out of you about or Susan about
I'll let Heather speak for her
She's got
family.
more kids than me.
both of you, I know you do have that. So.
For my oldest daughter, it was first suggested that she had FASD when she was 5. But we couldn't get her diagnosed. Anybody just dismissed us because we didn't have proof of her birth mom's consumption. When she was 15, we got into wraparound services, and the provider there connected us because she had a daughter with FASD and connected us with Riley, and she got a diagnosis at Riley. Brenna got a diagnosis by getting a neuropsych eval, and we took that to the pediatrician after her sister was diagnosed. And then my now 18-year-old son was just diagnosed in October because his 2 siblings were, and my youngest one is 14. He doesn't currently have a diagnosis because he's not affected enough that I can get a study done or anything for him.
We saw every behavior, just like anything, was different before the diagnosis came out.
Yes.
And I know the other thing you mentioned to me was about the fact that it's difficult. There's not one doctor, and Susan, you kind of touched on this. There's not one doctor you go to see. You see multiple. There's not one place. Tell us how this all came about as a final diagnosis. You found some resource, is what you told me.
Yeah, it was our family support person for wraparound through Children's Mental Health wraparound. Is that CMHW?
Yeah, CMHW.
Yeah. She was the one that finally connected us to Riley and got us in. We tried to get referrals to different places and it didn't work. We took her to different places and they said without confirmation of this or that, but then we also got with their birth parents and she told us that she saw them drinking with some of them. So we had that little piece too. But each one of them, it was a different journey, and their whole life has been a different journey.
I think that was what the aha moment for me was whenever you told me that, is how difficult it is to come to a diagnosis and to get the help in school, therefore. And that's why I'm proud this young lady stood up here today. Has mastered a lot
My
of things.
girls are really good at like social stuff. They like to talk to people, but the academic part is hard. My 18-year-old just graduated cum laude from high school, but he does not have the social skills.
It's the complete opposite of us.
Yeah. And the younger one is kind of more in the middle for both of them.
Thank you for helping us
Do you
understand.
have something you want to say?
I have a question for you. Didn't my doctor, Escobar, didn't he say that he doesn't really believe that I have FASD? He thinks I have Noonan syndrome.
He said the last time we went in, he gave you the FASD diagnosis finally.
Oh, finally.
But he said he wasn't sure if you had it because you didn't have the facial features,
Yep.
and you answered his question like, how are you, when you walked in the room, which is not the qualifiers.
Really tough to understand. So thank you for sharing. And September 9th, this weekend, is when you have your awareness day.
Yep. What do you have to wear? What do you wear?
Oh yeah, I have this little thing right here, and it says, go spectrum disorder. Ask me, red shoes rock. Red shoes rock.
Red shoes rock. We're supposed to wear red shoes on
On Friday, right?
Thank
On
you.
Friday, yep, I'm wearing red shoes on Fridays.
So should they.
Oh yeah, so should you guys. FASD.
You're blue because it's mud socks week and you go to HSE, so you have to.
There you go.
Yep.
So blue and red.
Yeah, I'll be performing in the guard.
She's in the
color
guard.
Up at the first start, if you could find me, I'm in the middle. So.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation and bringing awareness to some of these challenges that are invisible sometimes. You can't tell by just looking at somebody sometimes what they might be going through. And thank you, Brenna, for sharing your story and for being such a strong advocate. So thank you. And we'll look to maybe post some of these resources on our website in the Fishers, City of Fishers website there for people. So our next speaker is Captain John Mailing with the Fishers Fire Department, and he's going to talk again about Smart 911. We touched on this at the beginning of the year, that this is a whole new system, an opt-in system that would provide the first responders information about medical issues, any kind of disabilities, and medications that people have that they share confidentially. And then if there was ever an emergency at your home, they would have the information at hand to be able to better help someone that might be in an emergency situation. So he's going to share a little bit about why it's important for the disability community to opt in and get signed up on Smart 911. And this is a new program, and he's going to share a little bit about that. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. If I'd known that Brianna was going to go first, I would have offered to go first because she did a great job on her presentation, so no pressure. Thanks for letting me come in tonight. Smart 911 is a Hamilton County program that's being promoted throughout the county. It's a free program that's available to everybody, and it's something that you can put as much or as little information into the program as you want. It's a web-based program. It's secure. You can sign up for the free app, put your information in. You can put all of your family's phone numbers in, so all your family can be connected onto the same account. That way, all of their information is also available as well. So whether they live with you or they live somewhere else, all that information can be placed in there. You can put things in there such as any special needs that you might have in your home. You can put things that someone is using oxygen, they're homebound, you have dogs that like to eat firefighters, things we might want to know before we get there, right? You can go as far as to put the layout of your house. If you have pets, what kind of cars you have, the license plates on them. So in the event that maybe, unfortunately, your car gets stolen, well, now you've got a picture of your car with the license plate, which is going to make it even easier for the police department. So there's lots of different uses that you can use this for. One of the things that we can pull out of this when we're responding is the dispatch center gets the information. That then is sent to the firefighters in the truck that's responding. If we have a situation in which it's going to involve maybe an entire neighborhood or a section of the city, we're actually able to pull out information of families that might have special needs, so that if it's a power outage, for example, we might then be able to direct resources to those families sooner, whether that's through generators or working with our partners at the utility companies, a variety of different things like that. There's a component in there that's called RAVE, which is a program that can give you announcements. It can give you alerts. So it could be weather related, it could be emergency related. So if we had, say, a gas leak in your neighborhood, this system could send out an alert that the fire department is requesting that you stay in place or run faster than they are. So there's choices there. And I'm really bad about using, oops, did I go the wrong way? There we go. So this profile that you put in there, when you call 911 using a phone that you've put that phone number into your profile, that will automatically pull up that information for the dispatch center. One of the important things that people don't often think of is when there's an emergency, that emergency contact. So whether you're there by yourself or someone in your family that can't communicate well with 911, that information's already coming up, as well as that emergency contact. So while we may not necessarily wait around for that emergency contact to get there, we can certainly make contact via the phone. But at least that gives us a way to reach out to someone that's going to want to know what's happening. Those alerts and notifications, those can travel with you. So it's a national program. Now, not everybody in the nation uses it, but it is used widely across the country. And those alerts can follow you. So if you're camping down in Alabama, for example, you may get weather alerts while you're camping, going, you should probably find a better place than your tent in the event the storm's coming through. If you're driving down the road and God forbid that you're in a traffic accident, and I don't know if you're like me, but I never know where I'm at specifically on any given highway through the country, it's GPS attached, so it can find you and then provide emergency responders your exact location. So it's got a variety of different things that you can use that. The special needs registry that we used to have, we've done away with that, and we've encouraged everyone to move to this system. We've got, at last count, and it's an old number, I tried to get a new number today, but it was unsuccessful, but we've got over 2,000 people in the area that are on the program now. So we're hoping that everybody that has special needs has already signed up for it, and if you haven't, please do so. If you need help doing it, contact us. We'd happily sit down with you and help walk you through how to get onto the program. Again, it's a free service, it's private and secure. It saves firefighters time on the scene because we're already getting a lot of that information before we get there. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to repeat it, because information is only as good as the information that you put in. So as things change, you need to update it, which it's readily accessible to do. And if you forget, every year you will get a reminder going, hey, we haven't heard from you in about a year, just want to check to see if everything's the same. And it's all done automatically. You'll go in and update your information. Hopefully things have gotten better, but if not, you can adjust it as needed. So again, my name's Captain Mailing. You can reach me at 317-595-3208 or at MailingJ, and that's MEHLING, the letter J, at fishers.in.us. And myself or Ashley Heckley will be happy to sit down with you and help you in whatever way we can. Any questions for me? Yes, sir.
I've got one. I understand that it's tied to the telephone number.
Yes.
What if you have multiple people that need to be registered?
Yeah, so that is a capability of the program. You can put as many numbers into that program as you want, and it will all be connected to that account. And it's separated so they can have different addresses. So maybe grandma comes over and babysits. You can put that information that primary address is this, my work address is this, I babysit here. So you've got some flexibility in the information that you can put in.
I'm talking about multiple people at the address, though.
Yes, you can put multiple people in there as well.
Right.
So everything can be associated with one number. But we encourage you, if there are multiple phones within that family, to use multiple numbers. So that way, whatever phone you happen to grab that's closest for that emergency, if that's attached to the account, then that information pulls up.
Just to tell you that in April, had used this system. My son has severe food allergies, and the amount of time and the preparedness of the individuals who showed up on site, they had all of his information, and with a situation like that, it takes seconds. He would not, if I was not there, been able to communicate. It's all there, and the system works well. So I encourage everyone to use it.
And we appreciate you continuing to prove our products.
I know, our household's a frequent flyer of this program.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it, and this is really important information, so please, we encourage everyone to sign up for Smart 911. Okay.
Is this information on the Fishers website? Astoundingly, it's the first time I've heard of it, and as a type 1 diabetic, I surely could use it. So I'm wondering how we can help organizationally, like for example, Connor Prairie, in spreading the word to our social media contacts and so on and so forth.
I believe it's on our website. Yes.
On our website,
Fishers Advisory Committee on
We bring it up on social media on numerous occasions. And I've got flyers, if you want to place flyers there at the store. Happy to do that as well.
You're familiar with our location.
And this sign right here, I'm happy to bring that out, let that sit there as well.
Sure.
Is there such a thing as like Community Safety Month or Public Safety Month that we could join forces and everybody work really hard to get it out then?
So we have.
I know every month is Public Safety Month.
Every day. Fire prevention week and or month is kind of the all-inclusive. This Saturday we have our annual safety day, which we call All Things Safety. And pretty much we can attach safety messages to just about any topic that you can throw out there. I think it'd be a great game show if anybody's listening. But if anyone's available from 8 to 12 this Saturday, come out. There's going to be a variety of vendors. I think we've got 45 vendors that will be there. We're going to be next door to the Fishers Farmers Market. We're going to be on the roadway in front of Station 91, which is our headquarters station there at 2 Municipal Drive in the Nickel Plate District. And a variety of messaging. There'll be lots of swag that's handed out. MCX and the fire crew is going to be there. Boy Scouts will be there with the bike rodeo that's sponsored by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. And it's just a great opportunity to learn about how to be safe in your own home. So kind of the longer answer to your question is any way we can partner to get safety messaging out for anything. We'd like to be a part of it.
Okay.
We have a question that's come up so it's done away with the special needs registry. So was there a transfer of anything, or do you just need to go and completely sign in as a new user?
So you have to go in as a new user. We sent out emails to everybody that was on that register. Hopefully all the information was current on that. But yes, everybody was recommended to move over to this system. You do have to start it up as a new account. They were not interchangeable because we can't share your information with another entity. So we were very protective of you in that way.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So we are going to move to committee updates now, and first up will be accessibility and transportation. Ms. Stacy.
Okay, well, as far as transportation is concerned, there is not any specific update. I will let you know that there are several things that I'm doing to research with other cities around the country on what they are doing, and I hope to share that with you at a future meeting, as well as some other things are happening throughout Hamilton County that Kelly and Cecilia and I are looking into. So there's nothing specific to report today, but I want to let you know that there are activities underway to bring you something in the near future. The other thing is, did you know that it is sesquicentennial? And I even practiced saying that word here in Fishers. 2022 marks the 150th year of Town to City in Fishers, and there are lots of activities going on. Part of that was listed at the bottom of our agenda for today, some of the links of things that you can look for. I'm also serving on a committee whereby in January we're going to start to look at a time capsule for the city of Fishers. And one of the things that I thought about is in this committee is what could we contribute? So that input, we are looking for the public's input on things that we might contribute. And one of the things that was suggested was whether we could take a lot of opportunities within our schools, within our business workplaces, and think through what should, in 50 years from now, 2073, what should be in there when someone opens and says, oh, this is what we do for disability. This is what that committee was that was codified in 2022. So I'm hoping that people can reach out to me and talk a little bit more about that. I'm also hoping to suggest some ways that we do something to collect information to prepare and put in this time capsule. Where will the time capsule be? It will be in the new building, actually built into the structure of the new building that's replacing our current city hall. So the anticipated date on that, and still these are kind of raw figures, but I believe April of 2023 is the goal for putting that all in. And I'm hoping that those from this committee at that particular time and the public will join us in celebration of what is going on there. So that's my update, and more to come. But be thinking of that question: what does disability look like now? And what is the, Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. What does that look like 50 years from now? I think it'll be an interesting topic. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Does anybody have any ideas that they'd like to throw out now?
So one of the ideas was to include a copy of the ordinance where it codified the Fishers Advisory Committee on Disability, maybe one of the posters for March Disability Awareness Month. What else did we?
One of the banners that hangs in the city.
The banner.
One of the things that I don't know personally is how big the space or the time capsule is going to be, what it's going to look like. So all of those are great ideas, and I think that would be something that we would want to put in there. What I need to check, and I don't know, is how much space can we take up? Because it is citywide. It is a lot of different committees or things that the city has done that will be included. So our scope, I'm not sure, but I agree with you in those things.
Maybe like the Ally program, the Ally that we do, T-shirt or something. So is there any suggestions that this group might have right now just to share? We're just right now just kind of throwing out some idea. Anybody have something that comes to mind? You know, go ahead and let Stacy know. But this is something we're working on, so please share with her any ideas you might have.
Stacey, I'll get some confirmation on what the capsule actually physically looks like.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Second up, we have housing. Wilbur Sutton.
Okay. I don't have a lot right this minute. I am serving on the Hamilton County Housing Collaborative, and along with Megan and other folks. The committee that I'm serving on is dealing with community land trusts and housing trust funds, and that's something that I hope to get more information that we can bring back to the city of Fishers. There's a lot involved as far as funding and availability and other issues, and I hope to learn more about how we can make that work. Cecilia's also got me a couple of large books to read. A Place in the World from Texas, when she went down and visited a facility in Texas. Also a white paper from Utah. We're looking at how other cities are dealing with housing issues and seeing if some of that might apply here in Fishers. So just kind of collecting ideas and resources at this point in time.
Any questions for Wilbur?
I just wanted to know about the housing study that was funded, we approved funding on in June. Can you give any update on that as to when we might see?
The housing study is actually available on the City of Fishers site. It was I'm trying to think the date it was delivered.
So, Wilbur, the one that you're referring to is the comprehensive housing study,
Yes.
which we did complete earlier this year. I'll give an update here shortly on the accessible housing study.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, we have employment with Chrissy Pogue and Michelle Stelz.
Yeah, October is Disability Employment Awareness Month, and we are going to celebrate this year finally with hosting our reverse job fair. COVID has put a wrinkle in when it's been scheduled and everything, as shall be said, and so we're looking on hosting that October 7th. that information to register for both employers who are interested in hiring individuals and those who are job seekers is being finalized, and we will get that distributed shortly to our different employers, One Zone. We're working with Stephanie and Samantha in the city to make sure that we get that on the social media posts and the Economic Development Council and all those type of things. And met with them last Friday just to talk about some social media blitzes and that type of thing. And then in the future, we're waiting for update on item G, but looking at restarting our business networking group to make sure that we are connecting the providers and the employers in the city on a regular basis, making sure they're connected in that type of thing. And I think we're looking for possibly some food donations for lunch for our employers, if anybody has any ideas. But I think that's it.
How many participants and how many employers? Like, is it first come, first serve? Is there a limit on how many?
We're looking at, because it's the first time around, capping it at about 20 employers and 20 job seekers. And then hopefully, as I know we're talking about March later, but if we get all the everything worked out and we can host this again fairly easily, that we would want to do this maybe again in March as well, and kind of keep it cycling on a twice-a-year basis once we kind of get all the wrinkles worked out.
And we talked about doing March in the morning because we realized there's no perfect opportunity for all employers, especially if we're looking at like restaurants or certain things like that, and in the actual business office world as well. So maybe doing one in the afternoon in October and the one in the morning in March. But like Michelle said, we wanted to keep it small since this is the first time. Well, now we've planned it 3 times, but this is the first time that it's actually going to go live. And it's going to be at Grace Church in Fishers on Oleo Road.
We'll do an hour working lunch with the employers just to kind of give them some update on how the afternoon will go, and some information about working with people with disabilities, those type of things, and then we'll open it up for the interviews at 12:30 to 2.
So when will you have like a link for the sign up, or
That
how?
should be ready here very shortly.
And then we can mail it out and get it out on like
Right.
the Fishers website and
Correct.
all that. Okay.
Is this only Fishers businesses that you're looking for at this point in time?
We kind of got in a conundrum about that because we thought right now with employers we're going to try and focus on Fishers. However, Michelle services people all over. Kelly services people. Our service providers service all over. So as long as individuals attending realize that your job will be in Fishers, so you need to figure out transportation, all these other things, we're not necessarily only limiting it to people in Fishers.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
But we are looking at employers in
In
Fishers.
Fishers.
In
Yes, right,
Fishers,
yes.
okay, that's
Yes.
important, yeah.
So if I want to invite some employers to participate, can I do that then? Would that be as long as they sign up or what?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and on the sign up, we have like, what do you need? So, I need front desk, or I need somebody who knows, data input or something like that, so that Michelle and I can look at the applications and right away know, okay, well, Cecilia needs, so that we say, hey, Cecilia, I'm not sure, I highlighted the people's biographies that you might want to look at, and those are just to try to be a time saver and try to be cognizant that, everybody's got a busy schedule. So we figured that wouldn't take us too long to do.
Great. Well, Michelle and Chrissy have done an excellent job just growing that list of employers and opportunities in our cities and beyond that too. So thank you for all the work you're doing.
So next is Community Supports and Services, Kelly Hartman. That's me. We're going to try to continue. You'll notice on the back of your agenda, if you have a paper agenda, or at the bottom of your agenda, if you pulled the agenda from email, we will continue to try and list upcoming events and announcements, and oftentimes those are from resources and services in our community. Specifically, what I want to give some updates on are mostly from service providers. Just a few things to keep in mind, and if you want more information on any of these, because any of them could be a whole meeting, we're not going to do that, but you can certainly reach out to myself and I can get you the information required. But first and foremost, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services did officially approve Indiana's state transition plan. It will be effective March 17th, 2023. What's important about that is it is not only a, ooh,
Wow, that's a bad light.
that was really bright. Not only is this going to impact services that we deliver to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it will also impact all services delivered through family and social services. So basically, if it's a program that involves mental health, aging, deaf and hard of hearing, all of the divisions that fall under FSSA will be impacted by the state transition plan. It is a behemoth document, but very important because as we all look at ways to better serve folks in the community, whether you are thinking about housing or transportation, all of those areas will be impacted by the state transition plan. And the second thing is just please keep in mind that this state legislative session that's coming up is a budget session, which means there will be a lot of issues that impact us trying to meet people's needs in the community. So please keep your ear open for issues that are going to come up in session. I would highly recommend that you look at the ARC of Indiana. They do a great job of on their website of keeping up with legislative issues and what to expect and how you can get involved and advocate. The state has really looked at how are they going to approach services and culture and in what order. And the first thing that they are working on is employment. Their goal over, I believe, the next 3 years is to increase disability employment by 15% amongst people in services. So that is a pretty lofty goal. I don't remember it's 3 or 5 years, but again, these are things that are coming up. They will also be dealing with transportation and housing and some other really big issues that if we could just move the needle a little bit in any of those areas, we would make significant progress in our communities. If you are interested in keeping abreast of those issues, please let me know. I can be happy to do that as part of the Division of Disability and Rehabilitative Services task force. And finally, which might be a really cool thing, they are seeking pilot project submissions where they are going to do up to $50,000 of seed money if through partnership or your organization, or even, you could have a provider agency with a city with, there's a lot of different ways that can be collaborative, but they want to look at different ways that we can meet people's needs. And this will all feed into the Ultimate Waiver Redesign Project, which is a voluntary program that people wait years to participate in so that they can get services and supports in their home or in a home of their choice with roommates. So the pilot project proposals are due by September 30th, so time is ticking. They're not looking for a full-blown, big, huge project. They're looking for a one-pager to summarize what you're talking about, and they will call you and have an interview to determine how they're going to move forward with funding those pilot projects. And those are being made available through some federal funds as a result of COVID. So any information that you would like more information on, if you want more information on any of those areas, just shoot me an email at khartman, Hartman, at insights with an S, insightsonline.net. And the last thing is, I know Outside the Box is working feverishly. We do have I have heard they've had an affirmative vote to expand their program with the second location, which will be here in Fishers. We are in the literally hours, I hope, of identifying the start date and address of that expansion. And if you're interested in being a part of that excitement, we are also having our big fundraiser at the Loom at Newfields next Friday night, September 16th, and you can find information about how to participate in that on our website, which is www.otbonline.org. Next is Recreation, Arts, and Culture. Ms. Shelby.
Good evening, everyone. Not a huge amount of updates. One specifically that's upcoming. It seems like it's far away, but it's not. March Disability Awareness 2023. Connor Prairie will be partnering with the Fishers Arts Council to once again do our arts event in the evening. This is where we highlight those with differing abilities, wonderful art and creativity of all sorts and all mediums. So I will be actually reaching out to Les Reinhardt, who is with the Fishers Arts Council, and we'll be planning that event. So more to come. It will be a Friday evening in March. I've discovered that Connor Prairie has all 4 Fridays in March available, so now it's just a matter of which dates would they like to have that. So that's for the Arts and Council in general, and what we have planned for March Disability Awareness. A couple of other things I do want to highlight. I hate to say it's self-serving, but it probably is as it relates to Connor Prairie, but I think it's relevant. For those of you interested, we do offer sensory-friendly opening hours. It's where all loud noises, all distractions are taken away. Obviously, have quiet spaces available at all times, but that's typically the second Tuesday of each month. And the next one coming up is, oh gosh, I can't read my writing, 9/11. It's a Sunday, and those times are 10 to noon. And again, like I said, we do those every second Tuesday of the month. It's on our website. A couple other things just in general. I know people like the Apple Store, so it is opening, and it actually be opening this weekend as a special early opening on 9/9 through 9/11 with the Jupiter Flights program that we have for the weekend. Lots of hot air balloons will be seen besides our own helium balloon. Other than that, I also would like to connect with Thrive Fishers. They've done such an exceptional job with recreation and entertainment and cultural activities for those with differing abilities. So another thing that, as I look for direction as this committee is related to, we'll try to cement and have a wonderful, very active 2023. Thanks.
And networking and social opportunities, Ms. Darcy Keith.
Thank you, Kelly. An update is I've met with Action Club, Thrive, a caregiver support group to see how we could support them. Just letting folks know that they're out there, that they have events that people can go to or that folks with disabilities can attend. The Thrive Action, they are doing bowling at 32 on the second Tuesday. They were doing on the third, I think the third Wednesday or second, anyway, and it's now the second Tuesday of every month, and bowling does start on Tuesday night. They're going to be working, they're doing their first event with the committee in Westfield on September 10th. So they are working with them in Westfield also. They are in October at Connor Prairie. They're going to have their annual bonfire and do the Headless Horseman thing. So that, I know everybody's pretty excited about that. Action Club, I've reached out and I haven't heard anything yet regarding any September, October events coming up. But as soon as I have those, I will post those. I usually post things on my Facebook page, but I'd be glad, I'm open to find out where else I could post these, because I asked Stephanie about doing the blog, and they're no longer really doing the blog because of some insights that they got from availability and how people use it. So they're no longer doing the blog, or they're going to repurpose some information. I do.
There is a community calendar that you can submit events on the community-wide calendar. So that is open to anyone in the city of Fishers. The only prerequisite for your event is it has to be held in Fishers.
Okay. And is that located on the website?
Yep, thisisfishers.com, and then you go to the community calendar, and there is a link at the very top of the page that says submit your event.
Okay.
And you just have to put the details of that event in that form, and then it'll be on that This Is Fishers calendar.
Okay, great, thank you. I have a new subcommittee member, thanks to Cecilia, Dustin Thieve. Now he just left. We have some ideas on how we're going to integrate Best Buddies, and once they get out of high school and get them connected with Thrive. so that we don't lose that connection and that focus. This coming, actually September 17th, so it's a few weeks off, there's a Special Needs Living Parent and Caregiver Empowerment Day held at White River Christian Church, and this is for special needs living for parents and caregivers of special needs individuals for a day of encouragement and connections. So that is Saturday, or I'm sorry, September 17th. Is that I need to go back.
That
and
is a
look.
Saturday.
It's Saturday. Okay, I thought it was a Saturday. Saturday from 1 to 5 at White River Christian Church. So that is all. I talked to also about maybe highlighting a couple individuals who have who are looking for the job fair and highlighting them, saying, hey, these are some individuals that are looking to get a job. And I wanted a couple of those folks to maybe see if we can get them highlighted or at least publicized about the job fair. Would that be okay later? Yep.
That'd be great.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And
And
that's,
I'm sorry.
that's all I have.
I have parent nights scheduled through the whole year now for the districts are doing, so I'll be sure to get those dates and the topics to you as well to share.
Okay. Thank you.
So as we move forward being official, which is, means that there's rules involved, we, besides sitting up here, we get to have these opportunities to have working groups and people involved. And a lot of people have been asking, like, how do I get involved? What's the official? And even those of us up here are like, what are we calling it? And how do we do it? So we're super excited to hear more from you about what is us and what are our working groups and how do we have meetings?
Yes. So we didn't want to put anything in writing because a lot of this is legalese language, and as a codified committee, it's just not as black and white with the way that you all function versus, let's say, like a plan commission committee that is very solidified in their processes. So I did want to provide you guys an update on really meeting outside of our scheduled meetings such as this, because I know that you guys are providing services for our community, and so you probably do meet together frequently outside of this meeting. And so where is that line? Because legally we do have to publish notices. We have to provide the public some sort of notice that our meetings are being held. That's our requirement as the city and your requirement as a codified committee. So the legal requirement is if there are any more than 2 individuals meeting, that it would require to be noticed. However, that is probably not realistic for this committee in the true sense, right, of just looking at it that way. And so there has to be some common sense that's given to this requirement. And so for you all, if you're meeting to discuss matters that this committee is directly involved in, March Disability Awareness Month, right? We've got that posted on the agenda, and we'll want to notice that. We'll discuss it later on, but we'll want to notice that online prior to that meeting because that is directly related to what this committee is responsible for implementing. If you're meeting to discuss, let's say, even the housing fair, right? If it's just 2 individuals, I would just utilize common sense. Is it a community meeting? Are you inviting others to be there? Is there going to be a larger conversation? Just send Ross, Hillary, or I a heads up 48 hours ahead of time, and we can post that online. We're not trying to punish you guys to get together. We actually want to encourage collaboration, so this is not meant to be something that is a hindrance to you guys all getting together and collaborating. But we do have these state requirements that have to be met. So again, utilize some common sense. If you ever have a question, just err on the side of sending Ross and I an email, and we can get that posted. We just need 2 days notice.
So if we wanted to do for like our business networking group, use some of it, we've got some people that want to like do Zoom or Teams and some people in person. In the past we've used like our company Zoom. Is there like a Fisher's platform that we have to use? Does it matter as long as we include the link or whatever? So what does that matter?
I don't think that matters.
Okay.
We just need to post where the meeting is occurring.
Okay.
And if that's via Zoom, it doesn't matter who's Zoom.
Right.
Just having the
I just
link.
didn't know if, like,
Yep.
we had to, like there were certain things that we had to do.
Yep.
And let me make sure I understand this because I think I've buried my head into the legalese a little bit more. Subcommittee, while that is something that we have used frequently, is really not something that legally we are doing. We are to use it, I would call what we're doing work groups, right? And so if there's 2 or more of us, not just having dinner, right, but we're actually doing business of the committee, we need to plan that at least 2 days ahead of time so that it can be noticed. Because the purpose of notice is to allow people to participate in meeting the needs of the community, which is what our charge is by being codified. So you all have work groups now, and if you're going to work it with more than 2 of you, you need to let someone from the city know 48 hours in advance.
And the other thing is, you know, we have over 100 stakeholders in our you know, database that we, you know, share information with. So we want to encourage the community of stakeholders to be involved in our working groups and to give feedback and to work together collaboratively. So we want to still encourage that, and we want that. And so hopefully it gives a little more clarity as to, you know, how we're supposed to work. And then, you know, always Kelly and I, as co-chairs of this advisory committee on disability, you know, we work with Ross, our ADA coordinator, and other staff. So we need to kind of be informed, like what, and we're charged with kind of directing everybody on tasks and what we're kind of working on and have goals and such like that. But so just, you know, let us know, make sure we know what everybody's doing, and that we are involved in those conversations as well. Are there any other questions?
If you ever do have a question, shoot me an email and I respond. I try to get back pretty quickly. All right. I think we can move on to the next item, which is really staff communications is the next section. So I'll give an update on the accessible housing study. I do have some preliminary data to show you all. I have a draft of the report in my inbox, and I have looked at it. I just haven't had the chance to really go through it in detail and provide you guys a summary because it's really data heavy, and just throwing data at you maybe isn't going to be that useful because I know you all are very busy as well. So I need to go through that information and really put together an executive summary. And I will also say that we're waiting on data from FSSA, and that is a key part of this study, is that data. I don't know when we're going to get that. Our consultants have made that request months ago. I have emailed people in that office, so we are trying to get it. We are still just waiting. And that's I think, key for our community specifically, because we have the data that we have on the supply side is more focused on the institutional housing and not so much the waivers and the group homes. And that's the data that we're looking for from the state. So I'll share what we do have or what I have put together. But as soon as we have that all to share with you, I'll send you all an email and we can discuss it at our next meeting. So just pretty high level, and I think these statistics at least are some that you probably have already heard before, but approximately 7% of the City of Fishers residents reported having a disability. A couple of information on specific age groups: about 3.9% of those under 18 years old have a cognitive disability, and that is cognitive as defined by the U.S. Census. And then 43.7% of those 75 years or older have a disability, and that would be either vision, hearing, cognitive, and or ambulatory. And those are the categories that the census reports on specifically. Whew, that is tiny. So in addition to looking at the data on the disabilities that were reported, they're also taking a look at the self-care difficulty and the independent living difficulty. So self-care difficulty, that would be individuals who maybe have challenges getting dressed, living alone, and doing the day-to-day functions of living at home. And then independent living difficulty, that's more those with difficulty going to the grocery store, running the errands that they would need. And so our consultants are breaking down that for county and the City of Fishers. And so what they have here is, let's see, self-care difficulty. About 1.1% of the City of Fishers population reported having a self-care difficulty, and then independent difficulty was 2.8%. And you can see as the age groups get older, those percentages increase. An independent or self-care difficulty is not reported. Let me see. There was one where it's just because you're a minor, and so the data it doesn't really tell you much, right? Most children have self-care difficulty. And then they're also looking at disability and poverty status. So again, I'm sorry, these numbers are so small, and when I send out the report, you'll have all this information. But what this is showing is it broke it down into the different age groups of either under 18, 18 to 64 years old, or 65 years and older. And then within each one of those age categories, looking at those with a disability and those without a disability and their poverty status or their poverty level. And so what this shows is in the categories of under 18, those with a disability, 9.9% do live at or below poverty level. Compared to those without a disability, that's 2.4%. So that does increase pretty significantly, for those who have a disability. Looking at the 18 to 64-year-olds, the percentages are pretty similar to the under 18. So with a disability, about 8% have income below poverty level, and then those without a disability, 2.8%. And interestingly, for the 65 years and older, both are lower percentages, but it's actually higher for those without a disability. And that could be because there's more financial assistance for the elderly community when it comes to state and federal programming. And then, so that's really on the demand side, we'll call it. On the supply side of housing, this chart is way too small for anyone to read. But this just shows you that we looked at every institution in the city of Fishers and in Hamilton County, and we had an intern call each one of these facilities and gather data because it's just not available at that level anywhere else. And so they were looking at what's the current wait list, are there age restrictions, do you accept Medicare, Medicaid, all of that information we captured this year. And so they're building that into the supply side. But as I mentioned, the data that I really think is going to be telling for this group is the local Hamilton County City of Fishers data on the waiver program, on the group home facilities and beds, and the wait list and time frame for those services. So we hope to have that information soon, and that will be in the final report. It's just a matter of waiting for it. So I did want to kind of tie this back to our overall housing strategy so you guys all understand at the city side how we're looking at this. As Wilbur mentioned, we completed an overall housing study for the city of Fishers earlier this year. And the overall strategy for that is really to ensure that we have high quality housing options for Fishers residents in all life stages. And I'll say that's all Fishers residents, right? All abilities. And one segment of that recommendation, because it kind of broke it out into these larger strategies, is related to accessible housing. And so that is how we can support social service providers and housing development organizations to provide housing for populations with additional needs. So that's something that came out of the overall housing study even before we move forward with this accessible housing report. And so what our staff is doing currently is we're going to take this data, we're going to finalize that report, and hope you guys will all have that to support what you do for this committee. But then we'll be putting together what we're calling an accessible housing guide. And so we're trying to get a better understanding of what financial assistance is out there for developers looking for housing developments. It's the low-income housing tax credit. It's just not something that our staff has really familiarized ourselves with. So we're going to be putting together a guide so that way if you are a developer or you want to know what options are available today for providing supportive housing or housing for those just with additional needs, that you'll at least have some sort of comprehensive place that compiles all that information. So we're working on that. I would say realistically, at the next committee meeting, we'll hope to have a draft before you all with that information. So I'm sorry I don't have more information to share. We're digging through it. Like I said, very data heavy. I've read through it twice and I still need to wrap my head around it. So we'll give you guys all that as soon as it's ready to share.
Are you going to share these slides with us, Megan?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
I do have a question. I know I've looked over the actual big report because it's out there, and what I'm seeing overall was we're short on housing units as a whole across the city for the population growth that we're going to have. In this particular thing for the housing for the disabled, is it going to give numbers specific to that on what the demand is and what the projection is for fulfilling that demand? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Clear?
I think as it relates to accessible housing, that's much more challenging to report those projections, because the projections for the overall housing study was just population growth.
Sure.
When you're talking about individuals with disabilities and the housing that we provide, in talking with the consultants, it doesn't stay like within strict Fishers boundaries, right? If residents outside of Fishers who just know that, okay, there's this one institution that's going to accept the funding that I have available, and so it's really hard to predict those population projections for the accessibility community.
Okay. All right.
One of the things that Cecilia charged me with was to find out how many group homes, how many supported living homes, how many individual homes existed in Fishers, and that data does not exist. There's not a place we can go to get that.
I have it.
Oh, do you? Because I've talked to caseworkers, and they said it was very.
So as long as I've been doing this,
As long as I've been doing this, I never knew that the State Department of Health actually publishes the data for group homes. Now, group homes are different than waiver homes, but I have an email, and I just emailed you.
Awesome.
I have the numbers of people that are served on the CIH waiver and the family support waiver in Hamilton County.
Great.
I don't know that we have a specific to Fishers, but it will give you it's better than what we have now.
Yeah. No, that'd be great. Thank you for sending that.
And you said those statistics were from the census, because some of them, if you go back, I don't know what, I think one of them said 40 individuals that needed help, like with everyday need. It just seemed like it would be more like I know more than 40 people that probably fall in that category, but I don't know. I was just wondering where those statistics had come in, because it seemed low.
Yeah, so those were pulled from the U.S. Census, and then there was a state study that was done. Myers and Staffer is who is credited, but that was largely focused on the older adult population, I think 65 plus. That was the state report that was done. But yeah, that would be U.S. Census data.
The other thing that will be helpful, I can say to somebody, hey, they'll be like, what do you do for your living? I work with people with disabilities. What does that mean? Accessible housing is often means a lot of different things. A place where someone can age in place and perhaps need a walker or wheelchair is different than generally saying someone has a disability. We have a lot of folks with intellectual disabilities in our community that can live in any home. So I would encourage, when we look at sharing this and you go through the report, that we are very clear about how we're defining what disability is.
Yes, understood.
It almost needs to be broken down to intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities. Right? I mean, developmental disabilities, because every group kind of has different needs, I guess, so it's like, how are we able to kind of meet the needs, or look into what, I went to a conference in April that basically said that the disability community is where the senior living community was 30 years ago. And so there's new types of living communities that are being developed all around the country to meet various needs, various stages in life, and et cetera. So we're going to be doing some more exploring as to, some of the things that are out there in other places that could perhaps be, brought to our state or our community. So got a lot of work to do that we'll be anxious to hear about the
Yeah.
report, the final
And
report.
I don't know if the report was going to be able to get that granular, just to set expectations, because I think if we were to gather that data, it would just be a lot more involved than what we've asked this consultant to do. But with this accessible housing guide, I mean, definitely making it clear that one, disability is a range of a whole lot of things, but even a specific disability, there's a range of severity, right, of that disability. So we'll make that clear in the report, and I'm excited to share the information with you all and then see where we can go from there. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to do this. I'm looking to get the agenda back up. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right. So next up we have the Fishers Sesquicentennial. That's my first time saying it in public, so I'm glad that I didn't botch that. And then our fall events. I'm sorry, it's hard to see the screen. Okay, so this is linked on the agenda, but do just want to make you all aware of the various fall events that we have coming up. Blues Fest was this last weekend. We've got Safety Day, as was mentioned, coming up on Friday or Saturday at 8 a.m. to noon. Our Harvest Fest, which is going to be Heritage Park at White River, that's where that is located. That's hosted by our Fishers Parks Foundation and our Fishers Arts Council. So that's September 11th, Sunday, noon to 5 p.m. We've also got Glow in the Park scheduled for September 16th and 17th. That's going to be at the Nickel Plate District Amphitheater. Always fun. That's a all families and ages event. And then we've got Fishers Farmers Market, of course. That's through September 24th. We've got a free Fishers Fishing Day, pop-up fishing at the Flat Fork Creek Park. That is going to be September 24th. We're also doing a Keep Fishers Beautiful this year, a fall Keep Fishers Beautiful. And I just want to share with this group that if you are interested in a free rain barrel or compost tumbler, we have those available, first come, first served basis. So you can go to thisisfishers.com/KFB for Keep Fishers Beautiful, and you just have to submit a request, take a pledge on water quality for that free rain barrel. But then if there's other volunteering opportunities as well. So I'd encourage you all to check out those resources. That's going to be the first week of October, is that Keep Fishers Beautiful. AgriPark Fall Festival, October 12th through the 15th. That's also going to be at the Fishers AgriPark, always a great time, the Fall Festival. And then, of course, Boo Bash. Your Planning and Zoning Department will be there, dressed up in our Mario themed, so come visit us on October 29th. And then Parents Night Out, that's going to be at Hub and Spoke. Give yourself a break. And this is for the parents, where looks like they'll be having a childcare opportunity that includes pizza and dinner and guided programming. And then just some updates on the sesquicentennial celebrations that are happening citywide. So again, this is to celebrate our 150th birthday celebration. We've got the time capsule that Stacy's coordinating for this group. So looking forward to seeing what goes in that. And then we also have a self-guided tour of Fishers history that is called the Sesquicentennial Trail. So we have some passports over here at the table if you'd like to pick one up. And there are different locations throughout the city. There are checkpoints, and you check off all of these in your passport that you can pick up over there at the table. And then if you want to learn more about Fishers history, they are doing some blog posts and a bi-monthly podcast series with Tom Britt and Larry Lannon. So I encourage you all to check that out. Very interesting. I've learned a lot about our Fishers history here with all of our waterways as well and our development. So lots going on. Wanted to share all of that with you all. And then, let's see. And then up next on the discussion is the 2023 Fishers Advisory Committee on Disability event discussion. So Cecilia or Kelly, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about that.
Sure. So we do have it posted. We are going to be having a meeting for anyone that's interested in getting involved in planning for 2023 March Disability Awareness Month. It's going to be on Wednesday, September 14th from 11:30 to 12:30, roughly maybe an hour, hour and a half max, at Chicago's Pizza and Fishers, 13204 Market Square Drive in Fishers. So we're going to be sharing ideas of theme, topic for kickoff, speaker. So I encourage anyone that's interested in being involved in that. We're looking for folks to get involved and help with that. One of the things that we've been talking with the city staff is that, we focus a lot on March and we throw a lot of events in, and then we really haven't done much throughout the whole year. So I'm hoping that now that we're codified and we're looking at ways that we can help promote inclusion and awareness and have more initiatives and things going on throughout the year, because disability doesn't, it does happen in March. It's something that's ongoing, and we need to continue the work that we've been doing. So with that, we're kind of scaling back our March events and just having some core events that the city will support. And so I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit, Megan, about that.
Yeah, so for our staff, we have determined that we really have the capacity to support up to 4 events for this group. And so I would say historically that's been in the month of March is where those 4 events have occurred. And then of course we promote other events that are happening throughout the city for March Disability Awareness Month. I think this year with the transition fair or the employment fair that we have going on in October, that's a great way to highlight the October employment month. And so thinking of other opportunities there are related to housing or transportation or recreation that we want to highlight maybe outside of March, I think March is great, and you guys have done a great job of the kickoff event and the My Point of View Day. Those are always very, very successful. And so moving forward with those 2 events, but then looking at, are there other opportunities throughout the year that you all would want to participate in? I mean, maybe even your all's capacity would be a little bit lighter in other months besides March. So just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. If we wanted to do another October event next year, I'm excited for this year's event, and any other suggestions that you guys have.
So there's still the city is gonna help in helping us to promote events that the community is doing, but in terms of things that the city is kind of hosting, we decided that the March Disability Awareness Month kickoff would be one. The My Point of View Day is always very insightful, and just bringing key community leaders together to talk about the various issues pertaining to people with disabilities is good. And then maybe focusing a lot more too in October for Disability Employment Month. And so we're looking for ideas, but I think there's ways that as we're looking at these topics here that we have our working groups, we can look at what could we do for recreation, or the athletic showcase. We've done that in March and the weather's not great. Maybe we can do something else where we're highlighting some of these adaptive teams through the schools, like integrated through like some of the events, the football games, basketball games, whatever's happening at the schools, that we could like have these teams come and perform or do an exhibition or something, just to give more awareness and meet people, bring those to a community event that's already happening, in our community or in our schools. So are there any questions with regard to kind of that idea of what we're doing? We're just wanting to kind of spread our our work throughout the year and not be so heavily focused just in March. And of course, the arts reception, that's a collaboration with our group and the Arts Council. That's still going to go, and they're going to help us with promoting that. But in terms of, city is really, since those two things, like the kickoff and the My Point, it's always held within the city building, and a lot of staff, a lot of the whole department heads are all involved. There is just a lot going on. So yeah, I wanted to make sure we are doing the art reception, but we're going to try. The focus is to try to spread out some of these events and do more things throughout the year.
I do think besides those of us that are here, there are people in the community that really enjoy coming to all the events. It's hard, especially if you have an individual within your family unit that might need extra support participating, or that you would need care for them if you wanted to participate separate from everyone in your family. It's hard to do all of it in March. March is, I'm like, don't schedule anything in March because I'll be in Fishers, right? And that's a wonderful thing, and I love it, but I would love to see how we can do a little bit more throughout the year, because I think it would be better for lots of people, and we might cast a wider net than we currently do.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of our most powerful programs that we had in the past was the Athletic Showcase, and we always had that in March, and year after year it was canceled because of weather, and I'm thinking, what a powerful thing to bring that Athletic Showcase maybe at a different month where we're not fighting weather. That was powerful. I think the community enjoyed it. Best Buddies really supported it, and I'd like to see that in a different month.
Great. Well, at the scheduled meeting that you guys have to discuss the planning, if you guys have any thoughts come up about other events throughout the year for 2023, it's not something that we need to decide today, but just wanted to get you all thinking about that. Okay, well, I will just highlight one more thing, and then Cecilia, I'll turn it over to you to go over all of the events going on. But I do want to just make everyone aware of our health department caregiver support group. So they meet the second Tuesday of the month from 5 to 6 p.m. at the Nickel Plate District Pavilion. If you're not familiar with the pavilion, that's the standalone building right behind City Hall. And then Cecilia, did you want to go through these I know we touched on a lot of them already.
Sure. Well, I'll just remind everybody again, if you would like to get involved with the planning of 2023 March Disability Awareness Month, we're meeting at Chicago's Pizza on Wednesday, September 14th at 11:30 a.m. It's a working lunch, and it's the Chicago's Pizza on Market Square Drive in Fishers. Be sure to watch out for more information, details on the Reverse Job Fair, Friday, October 7th at 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then that's at Grace Church in Fishers, and more information will come. Again, the Harvest Fest, hosted by Fishers Parks Foundation and the Fishers Arts Council, is going to be at Heritage Park at White River, and that's noon to 5 on Sunday, September 11th. And that really also, why we wanted to highlight that is because it's giving back to the nonprofits. This event helps some of the nonprofits in our community. So Janice will be there, Outside the Box. I think Opportunities for Positive Growth. There's a lot of non-for-profits that work with people with disabilities that will be having booths there. Then there should be a couple of other, PowerPoints there. Same as You Golf Tournament is happening to support Same as You, and it's an organization in Noblesville, and it's a school for those individuals with intellectual disabilities that have aged out of high school. So that's the event that they're having in September. Then we've got Outside the Box, Inside the Bottle event at the Loom, and that's September 16th, and that's the information there. Next is Help Over Hurdles, and maybe Michelle could share a little bit about this event and what Help Over Hurdles is and how you can help and get involved in this event that they're doing. And this is an important one too because it helps the direct support providers in our community.
Yeah, Help Over Hurdles was started by a former direct support professional who's moved on to other leadership roles in a provider, but really providing financial support for those kind of hurdles that we have in our life. You have a flat tire you need to replace, you need to replace the brakes, you get behind on your electricity bills, you have an unexpected medical bill. And we know that our direct support workforce, when they're in those kind of crisis, we know that they can be, there's opportunity to not be focused on the work that's happening. And so you have potential for neglect or mistreatment. You also have potential for exploitation from financial issues. And so really this group is here to help provide those things, because you get in that cycle of, I need a new tire so I can drive to work, but I can't afford to fix my tire, but then I can't go to work. So now so you get in that cycle of, you need your vehicle or you need your whatever to go to work, but then you can't go to work because you can't fix your car. And you get into that cycle. And so this is really to kind of help those things. Their financial grants, usually about $250. The group has had a very high demand this past year just because of all of the economic things going on. And so the Help Over Hurdles group is going to host their first cornhole tournament. And that information is there. Opportunities for Positive Growth there on 121st Street is going to be the host site. But information is there on the flyer to, if you want to participate, or there's a link on their website to donate as well.
Okay. And then I think this is the last slide. Is this the last slide, or do we have one more?
I think we have 2 more.
Okay. This is also, a lot of people have been reaching out about caregiver support, and we really want to try to get out as much information about the events that are out there and the organizations that are helping the disability community. But this is an event that's taking place at White River Christian Church. It's Parent and Caregiver Empowerment Day, sponsored by Special Needs Living Magazine, September 17th from 1 to 5 p.m. You need to sign up, and it's a really interesting way to learn, about, how to stay married when you have someone that you're caring for with a disability, what resources are out there. So there's different roundtable discussions and different groups you can be a part of, but I think it's going to be a very impactful event. I know I've signed up, so I encourage everybody to sign up for that. And then there's food trucks afterwards for socialization and eating some dinner there, so that'll be great. And then the Autism Society of Indiana is also putting on some support groups, some parent support groups. So I think this is very common right now, very much needed because of everything that's people have been dealing with through COVID and everything. So I'm really excited that these organizations are putting together these opportunities. So here's another event taking place, and we're just sharing that information. And then this is another program through Autism Society of Indiana, Launch into Life, and there's like a series of different session workshops for individuals on the autism spectrum. So they have different dates and different topics that they do. So you have the information there. That's starting September 6th. I think
That's it.
right. So one last just piece of information. Our next meeting of the Fishers Advisory Committee on Disability will be December 6th.